Hi, Daniel Rowe here. Just wanted to give you guys a little bit more detail about the volume analyst and the BloodHound and BlackBird templates that I have here. On Saturday, if you came to the webinar or have watched the recording, you will have noticed that a couple of the things that I was trying to do in BlackBird weren't quite working, and I think it's just because it's in beta. So there was an issue with adding in multiple time frames and then getting BlackBird to load with those multiple time frames, and I'm pretty sure it's a threading issue that's just one of the things that is yet to be completely worked out, but I'm sure that's next in the lineup. So what I did was, rather than sending the templates without that as they were, which would have been to leave them basically pretty mediocre, I worked all day today to, well, and part of yesterday as well after the webinar, to not only add in some trend conditions. It's a kind of a pretty elaborate trend identification method that I have here, but I added that and cleaned it up a little bit. I think it's a little bit more precise, and then also added in the exits. And I've split it into, if you can see here, historical and real time for the entries and the exits. So since this is, running on each tick with each incoming tick rather than at the close of the bar, I basically have to display it one way for historical charts. If you're going to do any type of back testing or just, working with historical charts, then you would use the historical template here, or the historical logic board, as we call these logic boards. And then in real time, you would use these. Okay, so right now I have it set to entry real time, and I'm going to run market replay here for a moment and then show you what else I've added to these BlackBird trade management templates. So you should see this trade fire here in a moment, and I'm accessing the volume analyst from all three of these other charts as well. Okay, that should fire right at the close of that bar.
Order pending.
There we go. And now
Order pending.
you see that I did one order market and the other one at a limit, which is, it's almost at market because I'm putting the limit in at the ask price for a buy or at the bid price for a sell. So it's, trying to avoid a little bit of slippage, but still having it close enough to price that you have a pretty good chance of getting filled. Okay, and the way that I'm doing this, I have it to allow, let me open up the setting, let me pause this for a second and show you. Well, I'll just let it keep going. But I have it in here, I have the ability for it to adjust the number of contracts, and there it just tightened up to break even for the first one. I'll go back over that in a second. But I'm allowing it to upscale and downscale the total number of contracts according to account size and risk per trade. So I've left it at 20,000, and to get it to increase, you'll have to increase the size of that or increase the percentage here. So it's all set up, for you to be able to do that. You just have to change these values here, which I'll show you in the first training session that we'll do this coming week. So pretty intricate trade management. It's not too intricate, but it's intricate enough to where you have a pretty decent example of, where to move from here if you want to edit it. So I'm putting in the stop loss for order set A at 3.5 times the average range, and that's what these three values are. So this is an average range 50. The ones that I have displaying here on the chart, this is a 40, a 200, and a 1000. Okay, I just noticed a weird little bug. These are a couple of free indicators. This chart identifier, the counter, which we have, we had to program it to make it be able to count down the values for the row bars, which these are the row bars, and then the average range. So these are three free indicators that come with the package, and it looks like it's not highlighting the highest value properly. It's supposed to be highlighting that 4.6 in red. So anyway, I'll get that fixed and send out an update. in a day or two. But anyway, what's happening here? Oh, and by the way, the row bars are coming with this package. So you would get the row bars, the volume analyst, the BloodHound and BlackBird templates, and these free indicators, and all the workspaces and templates I've made. So right now I've finished. Finally, I've finished for the ES, and now I'm going to use this as the template to do 5 or 6 other markets, and then we'll go over all of that probably Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. And just a quick heads up, I'm extending the sale until the end of the month. Number one, because Jeremy and Zach, the folks at Shark Indicators, their sale expires the end of the month. So to kind of keep everything in sync with them, we're extending it, and also because I didn't quite get every single thing done that I wanted to until now. So let me show you. The sale price will be good until Tuesday night. Yeah, so it comes with the row bars, all these BloodHound and BlackBird templates, and we're going to allow you guys to kind of lock in the discount in case you want to come on board with the entire master suite, so that you don't miss out later on if we increase the price after designing all of these different trade types and do all the automation that we're planning on doing, after which we will of course raise the price. So we'll lock in the price now for you, whoever signs up with us now for the volume analyst, so that the price is locked in and you'll be able to include the discount from here in with your master suite purchase. All right, so what's happening here, these stop losses are going to break even after a certain amount of profit here. So I've got 2 different trailing rules. The first will take it to break even -2 for this one after it's in the money 4 times the average range, and then after it's in the money 5 times the average range, and then well, I'll explain that. After that's the trigger, the 5 times the average range in the money, it will trail the stop loss behind the most recent swing low, and that's based on this swing algorithm that comes with BloodHound and BlackBird, and it will continue to do that as every new swing low gets put in. So it's locking in the profit for you automatically once we do get a confirmed swing low or swing high for a short. Okay, and I'm putting in these profit targets pretty far out there at 20 times the average range and 14 times the average range, because I have the exits programmed in this template as well. So they're kind of far enough out there that if you don't get the exit signal before then, and if you don't get stopped out because of the trailing stops, then you've got a pretty good distance there, and there's really no need to exit until obviously there's some reason to exit, and you're locking in profit along the way. So it's a little bit tight, maybe. The trailing stop, I think it's probably a little bit too tight, but that's something we can easily edit. So the good thing is that all of these trailing rules are in there now, and they're very simple to edit. Okay, so I have basically the same thing for both order sets. Order set B is just using a little bit larger values. And what else? So for the trend conditions, before I was using the Donchian channels from the 3-minute chart. The 3-minute chart. Now I'm using a series of linear regression averages at various periods, 4 different periods, and then I have a group of conditions around those. I know this is pretty elaborate, but I've spent a lot of time designing these types of things for various people, but then on my own, testing every possible trend groups of conditions that I could, and this is a pretty good one here. So it's a little elaborate, but at the end of the day, it's essentially one rule defining when you're taking longs and when you're taking shorts. So the fact that it is kind of elaborate,
Order filled.
don't let that, you know, I'm just thinking in terms of degrees of freedom and how some people would think, oh, well, that's, you know, overboard. Really, it's one rule. It's just defined by 4 different averages. Okay. So I think what just happened here was it exited one of them. Let's see. And you can barely see the green BloodHound lines there. We can't edit them quite yet, but I'm sure Jeremy will, as far as changing the color, I'm sure Jeremy will add that in soon. When we just have BloodHound on the chart, you can set the colors whatever you want. Okay, so it hasn't given us the exit signal yet. It just trailed it up a little too tight, it looks like. I'm going to speed it up a little bit. Yeah, I think I might back one of these off before I upload the workspaces. It's a little tight. I want to give it, you know, enough room to actually make it to the target. At least for that second order set there. Order set. I'm going to move this out of the way for a second because it is a little bit tight, and I want you to see the exit fire. I think it's coming up here shortly. You can actually make it to where you cannot move those stop losses, which is pretty cool. If you're prone to that sort of behavior, you can let's see. Not there. Where is it? Right here, maybe. Allow widening of stops. Some of these may not be completely enabled yet because, you know, it is in beta still. But he's been pretty quick to get this stuff working for us so far. So I imagine it won't be very long until, you know, all of these little options are functioning perfectly. It might be that, well, I'll ask him. I think because when I was using this during the webinar, it didn't allow me to move the stops. I think that was just the initial placement though, so there might be something with not moving beyond the initial stop placement. I'll have to find out exactly. Normally I don't really move them, so
Order
there it
filled.
was. It just exited the trade right there. So this is the exit strategy, or the set of conditions that will exit any trade. And well, I won't go into it right now, but we'll go over it in the first training session we'll do. Okay, so just wanted to give you a quick heads up about that and show you what's kind of happening here with the evolution of these templates and workspaces. Okay, that's it. Have a good one. Thanks.